So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the UK businesses paying £2.1 billion in extra customs fees compared to years gone by. So, it's gone up. So last year, on total, that UK businesses paid a record £4.5 billion in the year 31st January 2022, up from 2.9 billion in the 12 months previous. So what you can gather from this is the total figure because of Brexit is £2.1 billion. It's the importer who pays the customs fees, and yeah, it's just crazy. And you got to imagine that on the EU side, actually, that this figure will be lower because the UK imports more than it exports from the EU. But it might be a further factor in EU companies kind of avoiding the UK in kind of the years coming up, come to think of it, because of, it won't be £2.1 billion in customs fee they'd be paying, but it would be very high for EU firms. So I'm just going to show you that, the UK will continue to struggle with exports, but this article is about imports. So the rise comes as post-Brexit increases in customs duties begin to bite for UK businesses and consumers. The figures show that the last 5 months up to January 2022 are the 5 highest months on record for customs duties paid, with over £2.1 billion in that period alone. This is likely to be driven by businesses who may have struggled to pay customs duties earlier in 2021 and were able to defer paying until recent months. We spoke about that previously in a different way because HMRC essentially struggled to get through all of it, and that's why they allowed companies to defer. It's one of the reasons why they deferred the customs fees, but in the end they of course had to pay it, and now they have to pay it for the goods coming in. There's no deferment period anymore. Post-Brexit rules of origins requirements means that anything sold in the UK by EU businesses must wholly or largely originate in the EU to be exempt from customs duties when it enters the UK, and obviously you have to prove where the products came from if it's kind of like a composite product, and if you don't, then you can get stung. The figures could jump higher as rules of origins requirements become even stricter. From January 1st, the government introduced a requirement that importers must show a declaration about the origin of the goods at the point of entry. If a business cannot prove the origin, they may be liable to pay the full rate of customs duty and could face penalties, as well as tariffs, because if you can't prove your goods came totally from the EU or from the UK, for example, then you could face tariffs because certain goods face tariffs. Michelle Dale, senior manager in the Manchester office, says this shows that how the post-Brexit increase in customs to the UK consumers is really biting. The cost of tariffs and extra paperwork is causing serious difficulties for many businesses who are already struggling to stay profitable in the mounting pandemic-induced costs. The simple fact is that £2.1 billion is going to be passed on to the consumer, and as we are facing a current cost of living crisis as is, it's only going to get worse. Over the past year, customs duties have been a hugely significant additional cost for many businesses, for a lot of them. Do you remember when Brexiteers said we'd cut red tape? Here's £2.1 billion of additional red tape. Customs duties have taken a big bite out of their profitability. Businesses who import and export goods between the UK and the EU might be questioning whether their business models are viable. And this is just customs duties alone. This isn't, health certificates and all these other things that businesses face, which are, make it far more expensive to trade. This is just customs. £2.1 billion. Also read this article from The Independent, which cites this as the original article and gets a load of quotes from here, but this article is an absolute mess and doesn't help. Thanks to Dano, we figured out what this person in this article was talking about. They did have some interesting bits, which is business groups have warned that many firms are questioning if their business models are viable. MPs and peers on the cross-party UK Trade and Business Commission have called on the government to relaunch the Financial Support Fund for small and medium enterprises hit by post-Brexit red tape, a scheme that closed in June. So you've got the people basically pushing the government to reopen direct support to SMEs because of Brexit red tape. Like, this would have been there predominantly for COVID, but it's just ridiculous. It comes as logistics chiefs urge the government to start building more lorry parks near Dover or face complete gridlock around the port as post-Brexit checks continue to cause delays. And I'm sure that will be very, very popular with the people of Dover who have, had many Farage garages built in their areas. ruining the night sky and things like that. But the people of Kent, they knew what they voted for, and let's not forget their MP, the MP for Dover, said that Brexit has been great for her constituency as it's created more jobs and more infrastructure. So no doubt she'll be very, very happy to see more lorry parks being built. The government has asked the National Highways to identify new sites for lorries. Ministers have not yet committed to building an extra park, despite a promise by Sunak in the autumn budget to spend £32.5 billion on driver facilities, which we desperately needed before Brexit anyways, because drivers are treated very badly in this country. But the simple fact is, I don't know how far 32 billion will go, because lorry parks are very expensive to build and maintain. And the simple fact is, it's very hard to get planning permission for these facilities because people don't want them in their area. There's very much a lot of NIMBYs who don't want lorry parks in their area because of the 24-hour lights. And the increases of traffic. We covered a previous story where it took 15 years to get a Dover park built. A lorry park built in Dover. Because issues with planning permission, and this is another problem. And you think, given how prepared this Brexit government are and how they've told businesses to prepare for Brexit, isn't it ironic that this government has once again failed to prepare for Brexit, despite telling all of us to? Because they're trying to find new places for lorry parks. It's going to be quite difficult, and they could take months to build or a year to build potentially. But they knew what they voted for. This article's a mess. I'm not going to lie, it took me a while and Dano to figure out what this one was talking about. But this article that he found, the original, is a lot easier to read. And £2.1 billion paid by British businesses importing EU goods, and that's going to be passed on to the consumer. So if you're a Tory or you're a Brexiteer, thanks for making living more expensive. Well played, guys. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.